go out behind the bar and she takes all her clothes off. She lays down, spreads her legs, and he goes, "Oh my God!" She said, "What's the matter? You come out of one just like it." He said, "I never thought I'd see one I could get back in." And welcome to the Recapping Film Buzz.
Welcome, Earthlings, to the latest episode of the Recapping Film Buzz podcast. I'm your host, Dan Sellers, along with my shiny co-host, Mr.
Sammie Castle.
We are once again joined by our good pals and fellow collaborators, Mr.
I'm all hooked up on Sundrop.
I'll jump on you like a spider monkey. Okay, to my right is Mr.
Chad Hunt.
And to my left, Mr.
Jeff Cochran.
We are here again to discuss the 1980 horror classic, The Shining.
I feel like this is a sausage fest.
We're here today to talk about the cartoon Sausage Fest.
That's so
God damn it, can we get a woman on the show?
Sausage party.
Oh my god. And we were so serious 5 seconds before the podcast started.
Somebody call it Whitney. Hey, we just need a woman on the show for a minute, please. Oh god.
What are we talking about?
We're talking about The Shining.
The sausaging.
So what's new, guys? Anybody got anything new to talk about or plug or?
Not in the last 5 minutes.
Come see me next weekend at Con Carolinas.
Con Carolinas.
Or maybe, no, that was the last one.
Oh, it's in June, right?
Last week, yeah, June,
think
1st
so.
of June.
Well, we'll see. I'm not sure. I don't know when this will air.
So for the first weekend of June, I will be a guest
You either did or you will.
at Con Carolinas on panels talking about stuff. Because I like to talk.
Pop culture stuff.
Pop culture.
Giving away hot dogs.
I'm good. Sausages.
Jeez.
Little tiny smoked sausages.
All right. So,
Anyway, The Shining.
The Shining, guys.
Little tiny
It's
shriveled.
been a while since I've seen this movie.
Hey, oh yeah, me
Pretty
too.
good while.
Before we get into it, I'll just say we have the Wreak Havoc Horror Film Festival returning to the Carolina Theater September 21st and 22nd, and half of the festival judges are sitting here at this table. So, a quick word from anybody about what they've seen so far? I mean, obviously we can't tell what's going to make it or what's not at this point, but
Is there anything jumped
I'm
out?
pretty happy so
There's
far.
good
with some of
stuff.
them. I've seen some great
Is there
stuff.
much live stream yet?
Yeah.
Has Close Calls been? Has it been?
I'm sure I've seen everything.
There's been a lot
That
of.
was last year.
There's one called Saved that I watched that is just incredible. I mean, it's a gut punch. I mean, it's really good.
Gut Punch was last year.
Was it? Was it really? Hey, if you can do it, I can do it.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be really cool. We'll be back in the Crown at the Carolina Theater, and it's going to be better than last year, and bigger and better than ever. So
Can't wait.
I know I'm excited.
Till we outgrow the place.
Until we outgrow the Crown.
We almost did last
Damn
year.
near did it.
Our goal is to be downstairs.
Yeah. So yeah, we're
I think we
getting
technically
there.
did last year.
Technically, yeah.
We will be.
I asked the box office guys, like, they're like, so how we doing? They're like, oh, you sold out. I'm like, well, so we can't sell any more tickets? They're like, whoa, I didn't say we couldn't sell more tickets. I'm like, oh, okay.
What the hell does that mean?
I was like, cool, I guess I'll just stand outside then.
I'm sure there was a few guys that wouldn't mind people sitting on their laps and look at them.
Like you?
Hey, if it sells another ticket, I'll make that sacrifice for you guys. Here, sit right here.
Oh, so we had a great time last
You
year.
and Tom
and I
Gore.
can't wait for.
Hey,
And Tom he'll appear in something. There's always like a block of Tom Gore films in every
Tom Gore block.
film festival. So, well, let's get into our movie. Speaking of horror, this is one of my favorites. It's been a while since I've seen it, but
Jeff still can't see it.
yeah, sorry. We're sitting here at a table, and I love the opening of this film. It sets a really creepy tone right off the bat.
It's definitely purdy.
I
Yeah.
hate this movie. No.
It's like, damn it.
God, I thought we was
I
getting
was
a different
like,
opinion.
Chad's going to be a great guest for this.
The dissenting voice.
Does anybody recall the original ending of Blade Runner? We talked about this in our Blade Runner episode. It's hard to remember what the hell the original ending is because they go back and messing with Blade Runner with the director's cut and all this, but the original ending had a lot of leftover unused shots from the opening of The Shining. It's the same DP.
Really?
Yeah, and they use, or maybe not same DP, but similar, and they used it, or not, somehow connected with the crew. A lot of unused shots from the opening they used at the end of Blade Runner.
Why? I didn't know that.
Yeah,
It's a weird opening.
It's a beautiful. These are beautiful shots.
very.
Before there were drones.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Well,
God, yes.
Well, you can see the helicopter shadow a few times in the opening.
The shinin.
This shit.
So this is one of the few times I've actually prepared for a movie for this podcast without watching it. I actually watched Room 234, which wasn't as 237, which wasn't as boring as I thought it would be. And,
I've seen that before.
I like some of those. I like because there's been a big influence of documentaries about horror films.
really
and,
dissected it.
and some of them have been really good. The Camp Crystal Lake Memories.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
good.
The
I
one
had to buy that
about
one.
Freddy Krueger was
Never Sleep Again.
Never Sleep Again. I watched the making of documentary by Vivian Kubrick and a couple other things to help prepare for it. But so from one of the things I remember watching from Room 237 is the way this film was meant to be seen is forwards and backwards. And that's kind of a cryptic thing to say, but someone actually tried it in a movie theater somewhere, a little art house cinema, where they projected it superimposed on top of each other, playing in reverse and forward at the same time. And it's fucking creepy. It's really creepy how... I can't imagine that Kubrick actually planned it that way, but if you watch it that way, it's really incredible how certain things line up. And it's very eerie. Like, holy shit, did they plan that?
That was in Room 237?
Yeah,
I saw that, but it's been a while. But
yeah, the movie's several years old now, the documentary, but
I remember some of the theories being really interesting and others just being way.
oh yeah, some of them are way out there, nuts. But so I'm in the middle of listening to the audiobook with what's his name? Something Scott. Campbell Scott did
Can you read
narrated.
it forward and backwards?
Now, I like Campbell Scott as an actor, but his reading is so freaking boring and monotone. It's taken me forever to get through the book.
I've got that same.
That's weird because it must be redone because it used to be Stephen King read his own books.
I can't find any new
I haven't
audiobooks
seen
that
any.
Stephen King does.
Now he'll read some of
he
the
does.
forwards and
Now,
Or maybe back in the day in the
back in
audio
the day, he
tapes.
did.
But nowadays with like Audible, I can't find anything that he...
Oh,
Yeah.
I've known some of his audiobooks that are short stories. You've read.
have you
read
noticed
some
that
of that.
nothing he does audio-wise is abridged?
Oh, he doesn't allow abridged versions of his, which is cool.
Nothing abridged.
I'm glad. Have you guys read The Shining, the book?
Oh yeah.
It's been years though.
Yeah. What about Dr. Sleep?
I've
I've forgotten it already. Is how
got-
much I
Damn
like
it,
that.
Chad.
I got about a third of the way through the audiobook and just never got back to it.
Yeah. It's just for audiences who aren't aware, The Shining is based on the novel. I can't imagine you're listening to this and unaware of it, but it's based on a novel by Stephen King.
What?
And
Who is this Stephen King fellow you speak
Stephen
of?
who?
Stefan.
But
Stefan.
a sequel he wrote just came out a couple of years ago. It takes place again in the 70s, I believe, a couple of years after The Shining.
No, it's
No,
like several
I think
years.
Danny was
Danny's
grown
grown.
Oh, I read something that said he was only 8 in Doctor Sleep. He's
No,
5 in
he's-
The Shining and 8 in Doctor Sleep.
No, he's
is what I read.
grown in
Oh.
Dr. Sleep.
All right, well, just fucking
He's
forget what I
grown-
just said.
He's grown and gone
I
through
haven't
all
read it.
these. He's
Okay.
Isn't he kind of a loner? Because he doesn't.
Yeah,
I can imagine.
Drink. He's
I can imagine he'd be a
drunk or
loner.
something.
Yeah, drunk and.
You don't come out of something like this a well-adjusted
Yeah.
individual. From what I can tell so far, I don't think this is a bad adaptation. I think Stephen King has been very vocal about his dislike of it. as an adaptation.
He is vocal about a lot of his adaptations.
Not anymore, though.
Yeah.
We'll get to that later.
Well, I've
but-
always looked at them as two different entities.
yeah,
the book
well, and
is
that's
it-
how they should be. Yeah.
I enjoy the book on its own. I enjoy
Yeah.
it for what, but this, even though it's so different from the book, this is still a great horror film and a great movie. Even though it differs from the book. And so
Well, I'm like 2/3 way through the book. I don't find it all that different. I mean, I know there's some. The book is more paranormal and
But the biggest
mystical.
difference
And
is the ending. Isn't
yeah.
it? Yeah.
well, maybe I haven't gotten to that point yet.
Yeah,
Maybe
I
that's
think
the
the biggest
big difference.
difference
But
is
one of the
It is
most
so weird seeing a young Jack Nicholson now after we've had so many years of him
Yeah.
being old LA Lakers sitting on the corner of Jack Nicholson.
Does anybody know what this guy's claim to fame is? Barry Nelson.
You sell Winnebagos?
He was the first actor ever to play James Bond in a
What?
film. Yeah, for the television show in the 50s called Climax for Casino Royale.
Really?
He was an American Jimmy Bond.
Really?
Yeah,
Jimmy
he was
Bond.
he was the very first James Bond. Not obviously not part of the official franchise of James Bond, but for a TV Casino Royale,
Obviously.
black and white. But so one thing I want to point out, we'll get to this a little bit later, but I just want to point it out now because I'm not skipping back. His name, well, I can't see it on the freaking subtitles, but his name is Stuart Ullman. He's got a American flag on his desk, and he just looks like kind of like a I guess what's a good way to. I mean, he's sitting behind a desk.
Looks like
He's
a
wearing a
politician.
suit. He looks like a politician. Okay,
Yeah.
that's a good way. He kind of has this Kennedy almost look to his fake ass hair.
Yeah.
So that's something I want to point out. Now, there's an eagle in his office somewhere too.
He's selling something.
He's selling something. So
Told you Winnebagos.
one of the theories. I've got a whole list. There's like 9.
Okay, where are
Ideas
you
about-
going with that?
I'll tell you. I'll just tell you now. I guess there's a lot of ideas about what's the meaning behind this film, and I think that's one of the big problems between the discrepancy between the book and the movie. The movie's about a totally different thing from whatever the book's about, and I think Kubrick very consciously said, at least to himself or with the film. I don't care what the hell this book is. This is my own. This is its own thing. This is my movie,
As Kubrick would
Yeah, I was
do.
gonna say.
which is what you get with him, and this shouldn't have been a surprise to anybody. But so there's a lot of debate about what this film actually means, and I've got like 10 different ideas about what this film's about that I've gotten. One of them. One of the big and most interesting theories that I have come across is that this film is basically a confession from Stanley Kubrick for his involvement in faking the moon landing video.
I've heard this theory. I've heard this theory.
So the theory is not that we didn't go to the moon, but the idea that the video that was broadcast
Yeah.
was a fake.
Yeah.
Listen, guys, I've got to go.
You're getting audited this year, Chad.
Wait, were you involved in that?
Maybe. Maybe.
You're old enough.
Maybe. Yeah,
So-
I heard the first fucking time.
I was just trying to let it go when you said it, but so he had just made 2001: A Space Odyssey, which was a visual marvel. No other special effects film had ever been made like that, and the moon landing was the next year. And so they think that the part of this theory is that the U.S. government hired him to make this video using his special effects wizardry and
I've heard that theory. I've never heard it tied into The Shining.
So, the idea is that this film is a confession. I'm going to point things out as we go that help illustrate different clues and hints. And one of the first hint is that he
The flag.
represents Uncle Sam. His initials are SU, and flip backwards, Uncle Sam. This is just part of This could just 100% be people finding clues that aren't there. You know what I mean? They're just trying to bring. And there's a lot of these, and I'm not going to necessarily list every single one, but this is one of the most interesting ones, I think. And with the flag and the eagle, and he kind of looks like a Kennedy.
Somebody's been hanging around Jesse Ventura.
Okay, so I'll get back to that whole moon fake thing later.
I'll get back to the moon shortly.
This is another shot I want you guys to pay attention to. It's first we see Danny. He's brushing his teeth. Just kind of look at the posture of the way he's framed in that shot. Okay, and he's talking to Tony by himself. Mm-hmm. Okay, we'll come back to that later.
Hi, babe.
All right, we'll skip ahead here a little bit, if that's okay with you guys. I've got so much crap here I've learned about The Shining in the last 24 hours.
Somebody's done research, and all Chad's doing is watching a movie.
Well, I didn't even have The Shining. But I've seen it so many freaking times. Has anybody seen Ready Player One yet?
Not yet.
No.
I don't want to spoil anything. It's not really a spoiler, but there's an amazing segment in Ready Player One about The Shining.
At the end.
It's not at the end, but it's incredible. I'll say that.
Okay.
It got me excited to go back and rewatch The Shining.
I've heard
so
about it.
freaking cool, and it was unexpected. I just didn't see. And I've heard Spielberg talk about The Shining in interviews and stuff, saying he didn't get it at all when it came out. And he told Kubrick he didn't like it, or Kubrick asked him, "Hey, one director to another, what did you think about it?" He's like, "I'll be honest with you, I didn't. I thought Nicholson was over the top. I thought the film, I didn't get it at all." And he's like, it took him years to rewatch it, and it really set with him. And I think that's how it's affected a lot of people. Mm-hmm. I think when it initially came out, it wasn't that.
It wasn't well received. And I'm old enough to remember it.
So Chad, tell us about 1980.
Well, it was such a departure from the book.
Yeah,
it was really divisive. I hated this movie when it came out.
Really?
Hated it. I love it now.
And it's worked on you over the decades. Yeah.
I mean, I watched it. I appreciate it for what it is now. But when it first came out, I hated it for not being what Stephen King.
And you can separate the movie from the book. They're two different entities.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it
did. I was probably a teenager before I saw it. I'm sure I didn't see it at 10. And I probably saw the movie before I read the book. Because the first Stephen King book I read was Pet Sematary in 83.
And a lot of times that has an impact, whichever media you get to first, kind of.
Especially nowadays.
Stick with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, even back then.
Yeah.
Yeah, as I got older and I watched it more, I really started to appreciate, and I knew more about movies and stuff and how they're made. I really started to appreciate it for what it is, and enjoy both the book and the movie equally. So
there's some matte painting in the background, isn't it?
I don't know. It might be rear projection. It kind of looks like it.
That's what I meant.
Almost everything in this film is a set, including the interiors. That's not shot in a hotel. It's all a built set, which is really incredible when you stop and watch the film later. Especially when people are moving through these corridors with long, extended takes. Those are all just put together. And even all the natural lighting outside is not natural.
Now, okay, we've talked about my blindness for Kubrick. I'm not just a mega Kubrick fan. But this movie is, while probably being my favorite Kubrick movie, it shows me his cinematic ability. I mean, even just that shot in the car was beautiful. It's a different angle than you see a lot of people use. It's not, most of the time you see it through the front windshield and all three characters in it, where that was kind of towards the driver's perspective. And I don't know if that played some idea into.
I feel like everything is very deliberate in how he's shooting everything. Even that scene in the car, the way it was shot, it's sort of putting him and the Jack Nicholson in the forefront, and almost showing his I want to say dominance over the other two in a way.
Yeah,
that's how I read it, and which plays out later on in the film about how it's almost hinted at that he's abused Danny physically before and stuff like that, which the book brought out too. But so yeah, everything he does is very on purpose.
It's intentional.
Yeah.
One thing I want to point out here, and I don't really understand what it's trying to say, but look at all this luggage here that the Torrances bring with them in the Volkswagen Beetle.
Mm-hmm.
That couldn't possibly fit in there. There's a lot of weird things like that don't necessarily make sense and don't add up, but there's some kind of way in the background you don't think about them.
Yeah.
It's only when you really break this movie down little by little that you can see all these weird things. Again, someone has used that and another shot and has come up with this whole completely weird theory about what this film means. One thing that's already been kind of brought up where they're talking about the Donner Party and stuff is this film, one of the theories is about white colonialism and the taking the raping of the American lands from the Native Americans. That's what this film is
What the hell's that
about.
got to do with this?
Take that, Whitey.
Look, there is an Indian there, and he's supposed to mean something. And
God, y'all look way too much into this shit.
listen, these are not my theories.
These are
theories that are out there and have been out there for years about this film. I'm just telling you.
Yes, let's give the 6-year-old steel tip darts.
That's all that existed back then.
Oh, true. Let him throw, and he hits the dartboard. That's the damnedest thing. When I was that age, I couldn't hit a dartboard to save my life.
Now, the places that he hit that dartboard have something to do with the price of tea in China. I heard.
Somebody thinks that is a minotaur in that picture, in that poster back there. It's not a man skiing. If you really look at it, it's a minotaur. And something else over here.
This is all true stuff.
I swear to God, someone thinks that really this film is about a minotaur, and that Jack is a minotaur, and that the labyrinth at the end is a big, because the minotaur is in the
I
labyrinth.
didn't see David Bowie anywhere.
Two creepy little
But
girls,
their point was you're focused on these two girls and you're missing all the other shit around it. Is the point of this shot here? Is what that one theory is about.
including a telephone booth in the middle of the lobby.
Mm-hmm.
Two creepy little girls. Oh, one of them started early, another one. That music. Ugh.
All right.
It's just so, it's like, ugh.
Dreadful, kind of.
Dreadful and just like nails on a chalkboard.
Yeah. Oh, I think that's a good way to describe it. I
Yeah.
think that's what he's looking for.
Hi, girls. Hope you don't die.
Get out of here while you can. All right, we'll skip ahead a little bit.
go up in those woods.
Don't mind those voices in the stairwell.
So this movie took a long time to make. It was originally scheduled for, and I've got it somewhere in my notes, like 17 weeks. Which, to me, 17 weeks sounds like a huge freaking amount of time to make a movie. It ballooned to 51 weeks.
Took them almost a year.
Yeah, to make this movie. That's just production. And I heard someone talk about that idea and how crazy it is for a lot of filmmakers to shoot that kind of schedule. But they had a studio that let them do it, and they had a $19 million budget. And, this you're talking about a director who spends years in development and pre-production and thinking about it.
Well, I was looking at his filmography and it's like 5 years between movies.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, look,
other than he did 2001 and then did A Clockwork Orange almost right behind it.
Yeah.
But then it was 5 years before Barry Lyndon, and then it was 5 years before this.
Yeah, and then like it's between I think Full Metal Jacket and Eyes Wide Shut's like 12 years, something like that.
Yeah. Takes him a little while to make a movie.
Yeah.
So his thinking is, well, screw it. Why am I spending years developing this and trying to get all this built together and then rush the production?
Yeah.
So let's take our time in production and get it right.
Yeah, man. Hong Kong Phooey.
So is there a secret message in
Yes.
the food?
Yes, as a matter of fact, there is.
Oh, great. Got dried peaches and apricots.
Let's see if I can do this without light. Oh, never mind. I screwed it. Yeah, so there is. I'll pause it when we get to it. There is a secret message in the film.
Yeah, it's on one of the cans, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Calumet,
Yeah, Calumet.
which is an Indian word And
For Soylent Green.
it's people.
I've always been really hit or miss with Kubrick.
Yeah.
There's like 2001,
Yeah.
beautiful film. I think it's beautiful to look at, but I have no earthly idea what in the hell, and I have had people try to explain it to me.
And I think just like this,
agree.
Kubrick's cool with that.
Yeah.
Kubrick is fine with you walking away, scratch your head, going, "What the fuck was
that
I just
makes me
see?"
not ever want to watch it again.
See, and that's the mistake. I think you need to go back and rewatch it as an adult and think about it you know what I mean, with the hindsight of, you know what I mean, as an adult. I think you need to go back and rewatch it on a big screen.
This facial expressions not
I
working
want to
well
see
on
it.
podcast.
I want to see it on IMAX. I
Every
wanna see it on
time
a
Chad
big screen.
laughs, I'm making a face.
It's gorgeous. It's beautiful, but it also is mysterious, like The Shining. He's trying to say something with it. It's just you're not sure what he's trying to say, and I think he's cool with that.
Yeah, like this movie to me leaves a lot of interpretation.
Yeah.
And people,
hit and miss
different
with that.
people take different things away.
Yeah.
One movie that I really want to revisit is Clockwork Orange.
Yeah,
I love that.
I like
movie.
that one too.
But this and Full Metal Jacket, I'm good. Everything else is like, eh.
Barry Lyndon,
Oh,
you couldn't get me
you
to
need to
watch
watch.
that if you put a gun in my mouth
Doctor.
and made me suck on the barrel.
Well, I don't know if I've ever seen Dr. Strangelove.
Oh my god,
I love
it's
that movie.
Fucking hilarious. It's one of the funniest movies of its time.
Slim Pickens,
Way ahead of his time.
Slim Pickens, his epitome of his movie career. We missed Calumet already.
No, it's coming up.
Okay.
Slim Pickens. Kubrick wanted Slim Pickens to play a howler, but Slim Pickens would not work with Kubrick again.
There it is.
Yeah.
So what's the point?
It's supposed to say something about the Indian subtext. You see it again later in the film. So apparently,
I thought that was a different kind of Indian.
so you see the word Calumet, and it's fully facing you when he looks in the camera, and you get some moment of truth between the two characters. Later, you see it, and the word is half there, and it's obstructed by something, and it's supposed to mean something different. That's a
The
falsehood.
oppression.
Yeah, there's a lot of really crazy things that are. And if I go through every single one of them, this is going to be like a 5-hour podcast.
No.
This is one of the very first films to use Steadicam, and that's a not just a generic term. That's a very specific device that was made right around the time. And I don't know, it wasn't the first, but it was one of the first. And the Steadicam operator is the guy who invented it.
Okay, so define what a Steadicam is.
So it's like a harness that you wear. It's used in a lot of movies nowadays, but back in late 70s when it first created, no one was using it. And so that's how you get on some of these long shots of walking through this hotel, because there's no dolly track to push it on. There's just a dude carrying the camera, and that was kind of an unheard of thing back then, especially for someone like Kubrick to use. Was very new thing, cutting edge technology type.
Now, is this the ones now are the ones that you hold and they kind of float with it as it goes?
I think that's a much more advanced version of
The cameras were exponentially heavier then.
Yeah.
So it was a big device.
It was still a big thing, but you were wearing it on a harness, and maybe even had a second person there trying to hold it too or something. But instead of it being attached to a big mounted device that could move and swivel, you moved with it. And
Okay, the Calumet thing is first of all, Stuart Ullman at the beginning brings out something about how it's sitting on top of an Indian burial ground.
I forgot about that.
And the Calumet, which is baking soda, I believe, the cans show up whenever the characters are communicating telepathically. And let's see, it says here, the word Calumet notes one theorist means ceremonial pipe, and the cans appear several times when characters are communicating telepathically with each other or plotting with the dead. So Danny's visions of the red rum and everything
And you see it also in the cooler later when Jack is locked in the cooler and the ghost unlocks the door. You see it very clearly then, yeah.
So whenever
So
something
he's plotting with the supernatural.
yeah, so it's
So this is a good example of the Steadicam and how I said this is all a set. This is what's amazing to me. Look at this freaking set that they built.
This freaking.
It's not a hotel.
I
was
iconic shot.
Yeah, it is. But if you really pay attention to it, and this is another thing I never noticed either until I was doing research, a lot when they're falling behind him, a lot of it doesn't necessarily make sense, and that may be intentional, but I think it's just logistic reasons to be honest.
What doesn't make sense?
The layout.
He'll start on the first floor, and then he'll take a corner, and he'll be on the second floor.
Okay.
And I don't know, like I said, I don't know that Kubrick intended for that, but I think it was just like we just need these long shots, and this is the only way we can get it is by attaching the walls this way. But anytime you see all this natural light from the outside, it's just millions of volts of blinding lighting rigs outside the windows.
Have we had any? There's been very little music.
Yeah.
Because that's part of what makes that scene so effective is the sound of that big wheel running across floor, then running across carpet, then running across floor.
And a lot of times there's just a very faint hint of music too.
So, yeah.
And it's very eerie. John Williams was hired to do the score for this, and I think he did one that they scrapped.
Really?
it's about the Minotaur. And
it's not just me. There's an article about the Minotaur and about how Jack is the Minotaur. Yeah. That's one of them. One of the more plausible ones. This film is really about ghosts of the past intruding upon the present.
Yeah.
And that the only way you can really beat them or to win is to you can solve it by tracing your steps and examining the past. And so that is literally personified at the end when Danny is in the labyrinth and he steps back into his footsteps. You remember that, Sammie?
Yeah.
To get so they won't find him. That's that makes somewhat sense to me. And everything looks like it's already been done before. You see Jack in the picture at the end. There's the echoes or ghosts of the people in the ballroom. I think that's probably one of your more plausible explanations as to what he's trying to say in this film is that you have to kind of learn from your past to.
There was also one too about the movie is also about how the weight of the past crushes everything that's going on right now.
Yeah.
Do you think a kid nowadays watches a movie and goes, "What the hell is that?"
Yes, I do.
My
What
mom
is that
dries her
old
hair with
looking at
that.
computer?
All right, this gets into another theory about this film is about the Holocaust. Mm-hmm. And one reason is because of that Adler German typewriter with that eagle. That's one of the hints.
Okay.
The typewriter actually changes colors throughout the film. But I never noticed that.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
I know, right?
Again, sound.
Yeah.
No music.
Listen to that
just
echo.
sound.
What a big...
Well, I think that's a Kubrick staple as well.
Yeah,
He
true.
plays well
They
with that.
used it a lot. Or quiet.
He doesn't use a lot of original
He uses
music.
quiet.
He uses quiet.
That's the
He
trick.
does. And he doesn't use a lot of original music in his films. He uses a lot of classical pieces and sources that's already been there.
The Holocaust thing, there's the number 42 shows up a
Yeah.
lot in the movie.
I've heard that.
1942.
That one I've heard.
Well, earlier on in the film, you see Danny was wearing a baseball jersey. It's number 42 on his sleeve.
And that's not for Jackie Robinson?
Yeah, but I also think some people think it's for 1942.
Was he in the Holocaust?
Wrong biased group.
There's a really amazing shot here, and I don't think we've passed
Now,
it.
did they build all this?
Yeah.
The maze and everything?
Yeah.
That's freaking amazing.
So
I don't know how they did it, but
the maze is not nearly as big as it looks on
I'm
film
sure.
because of the way they shot it. They use a special lens where it kind of makes it look a bit taller than it is. And also, you see an overhead shot of this huge maze that was basically a small shot. And you can see them moving in the middle of it, and it's basically a matte painting with the one shot superimposed in the middle.
Wow.
Gotcha.
That's the one shot that I've read has really baffled a lot of filmmakers. Like, how the hell did they do that? Because they didn't build the maze. that big.
How does he not hit a chandelier? The physics don't work. So I wonder. Okay, maybe we discuss this in Full Metal Jacket. Do you think Kubrick was very specific about what he wanted out of Nicholson?
There's a shot.
Or did he just let Nicholson go at it?
No, I think he was very specific. I think that's why things took 60, 70 takes, is because Kubrick knew exactly what he wanted from him and was just going to keep going until he got it. And
it's legendary how badly he treated Shelley Duvall in this movie.
Which she has said in interviews that she's a better actress for it and that her performance is better because of it, but she wouldn't want to do it again. Mm-hmm. And she understands what he was doing and respects him as a director, but like he taunted her on set, and he even told other members of the crew, like, don't sympathize with her. Don't give her any kind of solace.
Yeah, I heard she was. Hadn't she sued about something?
I think so. Maybe, but not to my knowledge.
Oh, okay.
But she.
I know.
He very much wanted her to feel hopeless and alone, and you know. And she's good casting. I don't think they wanted to cast her, but he kept sticking because he wanted this version of Wendy, and Stephen King really doesn't like her casting.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, she's such an every Jane.
But I think she seems like a very dependent woman. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
You know, if that makes sense.
Subservient.
Yeah. Like she's willing to put up with a lot of shit from Jack and stick with him, and she does. She puts up with a lot of his crap.
And we're back to the big wheel. I had a big wheel when I was a kid.
I did too.
We all did.
Mine had the thing on the back. You hit that and it skids.
Oh no, mine didn't have that. Mine clacked. Mine was the clackety one.
Okay.
That clacked when you drove it.
That's just because your mom bought you the cheap one.
Mm-hmm. She loves you more.
I know.
They do another good big wheels shot in The Omen that's similar to this.
Yeah.
But there's more. Yeah. It's more consequential.
237.
So there's a lot of theories about that number too, and what it means, and we know there's something very significant about the room itself.
It equals 12.
Well, it was a different number in the book.
217 in the book, and so he very consciously made the decision to change it. One reason is 2 times 3 times 7 is 42. That's one weird thing, but some people think the entire meaning of the film is in this number and what that number represents. I don't exactly understand it myself, but that's one of the theories.
Man, people got a lot of time on their hands.
Oh, and here's one theory about it, and this goes back to the whole moon landing thing. At least the thinking in 1969 was Earth and the moon 237,000 miles apart.
This is all. There's a lot of weird stuff.
Oh yeah, and I'll point some more out. Part of it is the hexagonal
I was going to say the
pattern
carpet.
of the carpet. It looks like the launch pad. Again, I think a lot of this is just stretching, looking for shit, and then finding a way to put the evidence.
But it's amazing how much people find.
I know. I know, right?
Okay, as a kid, would it not be cool to have a big freaking hotel all to yourself to just explore?
Yeah,
and
that'd be cool as that.
Ride your big wheel around in and just yeah.
But it's got to be creepy, even
That'd
if
be
it's not
awesome.
haunted. You know. Okay, damn it, I missed something here. It's very, very minor, but again, people think it's intentional. It may be, may not be.
When I was a kid, my dad worked at Beach Mountain as a maintenance man.
Mm-hmm.
And he and I got snowed in up there one weekend.
Mm-hmm.
There's a chair behind him here.
There were still people there, but not very many. And to walk through the hallways and it was creepy, but it was fun. It was fun at the same time.
Well, so the debate is that just an unintentional gaffe that happens in movies, or is that something that Kubrick very much planted? And some people think
There it is back again.
and it's back. That
2 different shots. Somebody scream.
Which I tend to agree with you, but someone thinks that there are certain I don't know the word.
Well,
for
knowing
it,
Kubrick, he wouldn't have let
incongruities
that go.
That's kind of what I'm thinking
Yeah,
too.
that's what I think.
There's several things there that are thrown in there, very possibly intentionally, that hint towards something. And there's another one that also coincides with the moon landing that I'll point out here in a little. The moon landing theory. And the way he's I don't want to get ahead of myself. there's too much to talk about here, guys.
Jeff is like, whoa, my mind's exploding.
I just thought it was a movie.
To me, I don't know. Everyone's different, but to me, learning about all the potential theories and stuff helps me enjoy films like this better. I think if you do know that, or you think there's some kind of deeper meaning behind it, then I don't know. I enjoy it more than just thinking, oh, it's some dude who goes stir crazy and kills his family, or tries to.
So, because we skipped ahead in this and it's been so long since I've seen it, are we seeing subtleties all along that he's just slowly descending into madness?
Yeah, and I think that shot of him staring out the window.
Well,
is
yeah,
a
I mean
good one
that's
of him.
obvious, and him getting mad at the typewriter
And
But
snapping
was
at his
it-
wife
yeah,
and snatching the
yeah.
paper. Yeah,
But I mean, leading up to that, are we seeing?
Well, the movie makes it really unclear whether he's going mad or is he being possessed by the ghost that lived there, or influenced by the ghost that lived there.
the
there's an
scene.
iconic shot of the film where Danny runs across the two little girls in the hallway.
Creepy.
No thanks.
Yikes. That's still so effective. He's seeing these visions of the two girls being hacked to death and blood everywhere by the axe.
Kid only did 2 movies. So that acting's not for me.
After
Yeah,
this
but
one.
could you imagine having to go through the process of making this ridiculous film and then thinking, oh, well, this is what movie making is like. I wouldn't want to do it again, probably either. But back to what you were saying about Jack, that's one of Stephen King's big problems with the film is that he feels like, in his book, Jack is slowly driven mad. But in this film, you kind of get the sense that Jack Nicholson's already a little unstable before he gets there.
Yeah.
To him, that's a big deal, and something he really does not like about the film.
And The Shining is something that Stephen King uses a lot in his other
It
books
runs,
and movies.
runs through
The power of The
Carrie,
Shining. Yeah.
Carrie, Firestarter.
Does
Dark
John
Tower
Coffey
series.
have The Shining?
Yeah.
Would they call it that?
Yeah,
He would call it that. Yeah.
yeah.
It's the same kind of power that Danny has.
Dead
for-
Zone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Damn, I
Dark
love The
Tower
Dead
has
Zone.
it.
That's
Yeah.
a good movie. I haven't read the
What
book.
they call? What they call it in Dark Tower?
The Shine.
The Shine. Yeah, I knew it was close.
And that is that the movie Summer of 42?
Yes,
I believe.
yes. He's watching
Yeah.
At one point, they're watching the movie The Summer '42, and also a lot of times when you see TVs, there's no cords anywhere,
Yeah.
which is it's just something
Oh,
that's
that's
been
pretty
pointed
wild.
out. Yeah, yeah.
I wonder how they hit him.
I don't know. Like all that's a set outside. Everything you're seeing, isn't that nuts?
Yeah.
Down to the blowing snow. That's just crazy to me.
In this day of computer animation,
It would be easy as hell to do.
generated-
Yeah.
But this is some alternative casting choices for this film. We always like to go through this in the podcast. We already talked about Slim
I'm interested
Pickens.
in this because I haven't done any research on it.
Well, I mentioned the Dead Zone earlier, and that reminded me about Martin Sheen was up for the role. He's a
Okay.
good actor. I don't know that I could see him in this part, but John Voight was who Stephen King suggested.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's who Stephen King saw in his head. De
It's
Niro
not a bad choice.
was
'Cause
highly.
he goes kind of crazy in Deliverance.
Yeah, well, maybe 1980 John Voight could have done it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Now I still contend that Nicholson's the very best person for this part. I think
so too.
Kubrick was correct in his casting, but De Niro was highly considered. Robin Williams was very highly considered, but Kubrick could not get over the Mork and Mindy.
I don't think at that stage, I don't think he could have pulled it off.
Exactly.
But I think Robin Williams was trying to go in a different direction with his
He
career.
pulls off some drama later in his career.
Later in his career,
but
yeah.
in
1 hour
1980,
photo.
I don't think
he could have pulled
done
it
it.
off.
1 hour photo. He is creepy as hell.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, a lot of his
Insomnia,
later
he's
drama
great.
he did was really good.
But back then,
Maybe
especially.
maybe Insomnia was a little bit of a payback for not getting it this time.
Even
Play another.
De
But he's-
Niro, I couldn't see De Niro doing anything.
But he was a TV actor then, and it's to break into
Yeah,
movies.
yeah.
Harrison Ford was considered. Jack Nicholson was pushing for Jessica Lange to be Wendy.
She would have made a good Wendy, I think.
I think she would have too. I think she could do that.
Especially after
wonderful.
seeing some of her stuff in the American Horror Story.
Yeah.
I mean, I think she could do horror, but I think Shelley Duvall is. They wanted just
yeah.
plainness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's vulnerability to Shelley Duvall too. That
Yes.
she seems weak.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Meek.
Meek is a good word for her. She does. Okay, so there's another theory, and you see it a lot in scenes like this. That a lot of this film about what it's really trying to say is that Danny is being sexually abused by Jack. Now, I think you mentioned earlier that a lot of it hints towards physical abuse, and they even say he broke his arm at one point in the past. But there's a lot that it really, if you look, there's a lot of hints that suggest this theory about being sexually abused by Jack, who's much more of a monster. Okay, here's another scene that we're gonna. Okay, so Danny's playing with his trucks in the carpet, and the ball rolls. You see, it rolls down that little. Now wait till it cuts back. It's gone.
It's gone.
That's another inconsistency that we think is.
He actually should have been one back.
It should have been the other way around, or one back.
So what's that supposed to tell us?
Look at what he's wearing. Apollo 11 on his sweater. I think maybe it's trying to tell you that not everything is as it seems.
Yeah.
I think that's what they're getting at.
Not everything is as you see here or on the moon.
We'd never know, I guess.
But that's a cool little hint that I've never thought about. I've seen this movie a million times, and I've never thought about that.
I can't tell you how many times I've stood in a hotel hallway.
And just stare.
I know I took a picture of one, and it was a fairly new one.
Yeah.
Last year, I think I was staying somewhere, and I took a picture, and I went, seen this view before, and it just looked like The Shining.
Someone pointed out they think the room keyword says room number 237 looks very similar to Moon, which again I don't know.
Now, the first time I saw
we're
this,
just stretching.
I agree.
this freaked me out as a kid.
What he finds in room 237.
Yeah. I mean, boobies.
See, now
but-
we're starting to get to a little bit of music,
Yeah.
but it's very ominous.
It gets
music.
much more intense
Yeah.
as the film goes on. I think.
We've not done. All right, is that the first time he really sees a ghost? Is he passed out on the bar? No. I thought it was passed out on the bar.
Yeah,
It's
nightmare,
passed out
right?
on the table.
A lot of people like to look at him as just going mad, but I enjoy it more thinking that these ghosts are really plaguing him. And
They're pulling the strings.
Yeah.
out.
Driving him mad.
yeah. Especially when he meets the bartender, Grady, the bartender, and all those
Yeah.
guys.
But I didn't just kill you. Cut you up in little pieces.
But I love you.
His reading of these lines is so incredible. Just the faces he gives. You don't know if they're genuine or he's trying to freak her out or what.
Yeah.
And you also don't know, is this Jack Nicholson being uber Jack, being a bit much, or is this character who's losing his damn mind? You know, you don't really know.
Those big open spaces are just so creepy.
Echoes.
And the echo, yeah.
Yeah. One thing I've read, there's almost every shot in this film has red in it somewhere. Some a lot more than others, but especially the elevators.
Yeah. You think?
That was wrong.
Was it?
I don't know.
Oh.
But it would go with the red.
I've got a little bit here about the elevator scene, but I don't know what that was, to be honest with you.
Danny, what happened to your neck? Danny, what happened to your neck? Huh?
Oh, how creepy is that?
Well, and I said that's why he got.
The typewriter's already a darker shade than it was earlier.
Why he got hired was because he could just concentrate for long periods of time and just not do anything.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the reasons they hired him.
You did this to him, didn't you? You son of a bitch!
That look.
Didn't you?
That's passed out.
How could you? How could you?
Listen, babe, I didn't do jack
And
shit.
that is just the wardrobe. That freaking ugly brown dress she's wearing. which
Drives a man to drinking.
Misery kind of calls back to
Oh, yeah.
with Annie Wilkes' dress. It's very similar.
That's a damn good movie, too.
Again, the typical concurrent Stephen King stuff.
This is my favorite scene. One of my favorite scenes in the movie, the bar scene.
Oh, yeah.
So another theory, another clue is that the gold room is a hint toward the Colorado, the Western gold rush aspect of the white colonialism pushing out west and overcoming the Indians.
So white colonials, fate the Mars landing
Dominating during the Holocaust.
during the Holocaust
Abused their children.
because Ghost told them to.
Yeah.
I'd go with that if I were
With a Minotaur in the background.
This is why I don't look too much into movies. Just entertain
Well, I mean,
me, boy.
they're all separate theories,
Yeah. Well, and this is one of those. This is one of those movies that gets studied by movie classes and film classes.
Yeah.
As I think
And
it
I
should
think
be.
it's somebody going, I need to take a new angle at this. So,
well, there's so much weird stuff in it.
Well, that's true.
It sort of begs
I
somebody
agree.
to kind of dig into it.
I think
a little bit.
it should. It's what he wanted. I think it's what Kubrick intended, was not for this film to be seen casually. And
Yeah, it could all
I'm
mean
pretty sure
nothing.
Kubrick was a fucked up individual.
I think he's a
And-
genius. I think he maybe was a fucked up guy, but I think he was a genius
Most
too.
geniuses are.
Yeah, I think that's
What
kind of
happened to
what's.
me then? I'm a genius, and I don't feel like I'm fucked up. Do I look fucked up?
I don't know
Well, I didn't want to
about
say
look.
anything, Chad.
I don't know about look, but huh?
I'm crying on the inside. This is such a great scene. Oh, I love this scene. This is where he just kind of gives into
Yeah,
him.
this alcoholism too.
He's so hammy. Talking about chewing up some scenes, boy.
Yeah,
I feel like the moment he took that drink, he gave in to what they wanted him to do.
Yeah.
Things could be a whole lot better. But I hope it's nothing serious.
Wait, I thought, huh? I thought he was Grady.
The
The-
bartender is, I think, isn't that his name, Grady?
No,
Bartender?
Lloyd.
I think
You call him
Grady
Lloyd?
Grady's
is,
the bathroom
is,
guy?
is the previous
Caretaker.
Caretaker
That's right.
who cut up his family with an axe, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, now we're back to quiet.
Yeah, we're all
Clinking
listening.
of glasses. No, but I mean, it's again,
Yeah.
it's we started quiet, and the use of quiet, and then we had these creepy, sweeping.
Well, this is a
musical tones,
pivotal
and then we're
point.
back to his use of quiet.
Yeah. This is kind of a turning point. So I guess he's wanting you to pay attention to what's going on.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is a part where he's finally, like I said, giving in and saying, fuck it, I'm gonna. And he lets Wendy know he's been drinking and.
I love that painting. I want it.
you want to sit on your bed.
Yeah,
and
I want to hang it, and I want that one
just
too.
watch TV.
Scatman Crothers has all the cool paintings.
Yes, he does.
I'd hang it above my bed and hang one on the headboard and then one on the other. I don't care what Julie says.
How creepy is this when you watch it fast forwarded like this?
Yeah.
So they're doing some shining here. Danny's
I didn't see any
trying to make contact.
Calumet.
Calumet.
Danny's trying to make Calumet.
Well, there would be some kind of Indian
Oh,
iconography, I guess you could.
So now Jack goes to room 237 looking for answers. And he finds
finds boobies.
this naked young woman.
Yes, thank you very much.
Hello, Bush.
That's 79.
And we're not
80
talking about
Bush.
George. And we're not talking about George.
Hey, go downstairs and make her a sandwich.
You know, if you were trading from Shelley Duvall to that,
Well, even to that.
Oh!
I'd still take that over Shelley Duvall.
yuck.
Oh, jeez.
Old woman. Old dead woman.
Scared the bejesus out of me when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I didn't have much bejesus in me, but whatever was there,
It was gone.
Yeah.
So we mentioned
Alright, we're going to go
earlier,
over here and hit this gong, and then we're going to go come and fight some people.
we've talked a little bit about Stephen King and his dislike. He refers to this film as a fancy car without an engine. He thinks this film is all style and no substance.
I couldn't disagree with him more.
I do too.
I love Stephen King. I love him, but
I think he's got blinders on. I think he's
Yeah.
got his book so
yeah.
in front of his face he can't see past it.
when he tried to do it himself.
And if you half-ass watch a Kubrick movie, you're
Yeah.
going to get that impression.
You're only half watching it. Yeah. Well, I think one problem is that once Kubrick approached King about making an adaptation, King wrote a script for him to use, and he just discarded it. Hired his own writer.
Yeah.
Kubrick and the new writer made this script, and they kept rewriting as the film was being made. So eventually, Jack Nicholson just threw away his script and said, "I'll just wait for the pages." And so they just did that.
That's good. Nicholson. He should call in sometime.
Thank you. He should.
But can you do a Scatman Crothers?
I can't. So he said that he felt that this was a film that, quote, set out to make a film that Kubrick set out to make a film that hurts people, which is not his intention at all with the film. All right.
Hey, we've got a big party going on in the ballroom.
Yeah,
Look how that is an amazing shot.
I know, right?
And an amazing set.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you imagine the setup into that just for him to walk across and go
How many
sit at
times do
the
you think they
bar?
probably shot that too? You
Yeah.
know. So when Stephen King got around to producing the 1997 made-for-TV miniseries of The Shining, who's directed by Mick Garris, the only way he could make it was if Kubrick signed a contract, and part of the contract that Kubrick said his main stipulation was that Stephen King could no longer talk shit about the film publicly. Yeah,
That's okay because they all talk shit about Stephen King's version on TV. It was more of the book, but it really was bad.
And it's probably a good illustration of why things need to be adapted.
Yeah.
You know, when it comes to a film.
Orders from the house. When it comes to Thomas.
It'll help you murder your family.
Not the kind of man likes to know who's buying their drinks, Lloyd.
The house. He done told you.
It's not a matter that concerns you, Mr. Thomas. At least not.
That's a creepy ass guy there.
Again, just like Danny, just intent.
Yeah.
Just no emotion, no. Which is funny with and that kind of goes. He shows no emotion. Lloyd shows no emotion. Danny shows no emotion. Nicholson shows a lot of emotion, and Shelley Duvall shows a lot of emotion.
But if you look, a lot of Jack's looks kind of mimic Danny's and Lloyd's, only with the emotion.
Yeah.
Jackets. Friday's apricots, how he tends to stay. Avocado, is it? Yes, I think the best thing is
Avocado, is it?
So you met.
That must be an Indian whiskey.
You got Calumet baking soda all over my jacket.
Jeevesy.
Jeevesy, old boy.
It's a stereotype for butlers.
change my jacket this evening before the fishing.
The fish and goose soiree.
So here they are in the bathroom, and they really start discussing.
Well, that's a lot of red.
Yeah, it's totally red almost, and they're discussing the prospect. They get around to the discussion of murdering one's family.
Which is something you discuss about in the
In a
bathroom when you're
in a red bathroom.
Yeah, when you're trying to clean off his
Or where he
jacket.
tells him, "You've always been the caretaker." Is that what this part where he says that?
I'm not sure,
I've always
but
been the caretaker.
yeah, Jack confronts him, but he was the caretaker who killed his family. And he's like, I don't recall that.
I saw your picture in the newspapers. You, chopped your wife and daughter up into little bits. And then you blew your brains out.
Look at that look on his face.
And who's creepier?
I know, right?
I don't have any recollection of that at all.
Well, you wouldn't. You're a ghost. Or something.
Yeah.
Something, yeah.
There goes.
Caretaker here.
You're the caretaker, sir.
Jeeves. See?
I'm sorry to differ with you, sir.
This voice reminds me a lot of HAL 9000.
Yeah.
You know. What? Yeah, and he starts pushing him to it and ratting out Danny. And,
Is that line kind of playing into your thoughts of the ghost or driving him? Or it's almost like a ghost is taking him over.
Even Grady at one point was a caretaker who was driven just to the same point Jack Nicholson was. Anybody that comes to this hotel, because it's buried on that Indian burial ground, and all that blood coming through is supposed to embody all the dead people that place is buried on. So it's full of dead people, spirits, evil. So anybody that comes there, and that's why I think that's why his picture is there at the end. He just becomes one of the ones. All those people there, I think they're all dead too. I mean,
so Stephen King wrote this, or had the idea to write this, after staying with his wife in the Stanley Hotel in Estes Park, Colorado, which is a real beautiful, big, old place, and is said to have a lot of interesting hauntings as well. It has a lot of tragedy and a lot of things that have happened in the Stanley Hotel. So if you get a chance to look that up, I know Laura did an episode about the Stanley Hotel that was pretty encompassing.
we should do a Wreak Havoc road trip.
We should do a road trip.
I would love to go to Stanley.
I'll go anywhere as long as I don't have to wear lederhosen.
You get to wear the lederhosen, okay? You don't have to. You get to.
That's Oktoberfest boy over there.
You get me drunk enough. Get me drunk enough. I'll wear whatever.
Stimpy, where's my lederhosen?
I think that needs to be in the Bigfoot movie.
Oh, I agree.
Chad and Lederhosen.
Well, that might protect me from certain advances. From certain other
Tom
characters.
Gore.
I don't want to protect you from anything.
Can't get it through there, can you? Try easy, mate.
All work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. These were written by Kubrick's personal secretary.
Poor girl.
I know, right? Over the course of months, had to type all those out. Yeah, this was back when we didn't have the computers to do this for us. Someone had to hand type these,
And in different ways.
and they look hand typed too. You know, they don't.
Yeah.
They don't look artificial.
Hey, you want to read my manuscript?
This scared the shit out of me when I was a kid. I don't know why. Just the fact that this dude has been sitting there typing away for days, and it's just been this.
You get the idea, Wendy.
She's looking for one that's different, man.
Where's chapter 2?
Audiences are going to hate this.
This story
off.
sucks.
There's no pacing.
You need to talk to another writer. You need to rewrite.
What the?
And the worst holding of a baseball bat
I
ever.
like it.
She's choked up way too much on that.
And her hands are apart. She ain't gonna hit shit like that. She couldn't hit a slider outside for nothing.
The softball coach coming out in you.
And you know, I think that's intentional too. Like you can tell she doesn't know what the hell she's doing with
She
it.
has zero idea
Yeah.
what she's doing with it. I did not mean choke up. I meant choke out.
Anybody ever see Robert Altman's Popeye?
Yeah.
Came out the same year with her.
Yeah. I love that movie.
I like Popeye. Robin Williams.
That was another big flop for her at the time.
She is not a fountain of sexiness.
But what perfect casting is Olive Oil?
Oh,
You know what I mean? Perfect.
It's like she has to jump around in the shower to get wet.
And that creepy kid scare.
Can't pull anything past Danny.
It's because he's always looking.
He always knows it's coming. So we haven't really talked about the elevator shot yet. This iconic shot of.
Is that coming? Or is it we already past it?
Well, it's shown it several times.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm not sure. There is one part where it shows it in a more sustained long shot, but they shot it 3 times over the course of a year, and Kubrick was never satisfied with it. But it took 9 days to put together every time they shot it.
Clean all that out.
Clean it all up, reset it.
Didn't take us nowhere near about that time to do our elevator shot.
It almost
Would have.
Wait, which one?
It almost took that long.
Which one?
But
Chad running to the elevator or me standing in the elevator?
You got 5
I
minutes.
love how condescending he is to her and how ugly he's turned.
You believe his health might be at stake.
There probably was a lot
That
of.
look.
Had it not been like the 300 takes, this was like it would have been a fun part to play.
Oh,
For him,
absolutely.
you know what I mean? But the problem is, it probably took him 50 tries to get to that level of crazy where he's like, screw it.
Ever thought about my responsibilities?
Oh, Dick, what are you talking about?
Have you ever had a single moment's thought about my responsibilities?
All right, listen to him talk about
For a single solitary moment
what he's telling her.
responsibilities to my employers? Has it ever
He's talking to his wife about the.
Just today.
Is it? Mm-hmm. Wow. Creepy. That's creepy. It was intentional.
I should have left when I had a chance.
He's talking about his.
We faked the moon landing.
Somebody says that she swings the bat 42 times. I haven't counted. I'm not going to count it, but that's another clue. So part of what I read, this whole speech is not in the book. This was totally written by Kubrick, and this is another hint of this is part of a discussion he had with his wife. His wife confronting him about the whole moon landing, and him saying, "I cannot come forward with the truth. Don't you know about the obligation I have to my employers,
Wow.
the U.S. government? You know, you think I can just do this? I can just be honest about it."
She was terrible with that bat.
I think this role is the one that's just cemented him as a psychopath.
Yeah.
As an actor, that's
Yeah.
pretentious as
That is
just out of my mouth, I went, God Almighty.
as an actor.
That is a thespian.
I was acting. Merely.
That a monologue like this is just, it's hard as shit. I bet the little lengthy one I have on Haunted 4 Points is just, it took us probably 15
Well,
takes.
and it's not necessarily a monologue either because he's reacting to her,
true.
and he's, you know.
But okay, the
She's giving back to
extended
him.
dialogue. It's almost all him.
It's a good headshot. She finally got him one good
That was
time.
42.
Was
The
it?
one
Did you
that
count?
hit
Nice.
No way.
The one that hit him was 42.
No way. Are you serious?
Yep.
But that number legit does show up a lot in this film. So I think there is some sort of intentional meaning to it. I just don't know what it is.
He really liked Jackie Robinson.
That could be it. And it is a baseball bat. So.
Okay, but y'all said at the beginning how meticulous and how many years he prepares for
Yeah.
films.
Yeah.
And the supposed moon film was like a year after this.
No, it was
it
a
was
year after
before.
2001.
Year after 2000.
But still, a year.
Yeah.
So he would have only had a couple months to prepare for it, which would not have been like him.
Oh no! Well, I mean, you gotta think about it this way: that I don't think he did fake the moon landing. Okay, I think that was a legit thing. But if he had faked the moon landing, that's not a piece of artistic work that he's trying to say something. That's just the U.S. government or NASA, whoever, saying, here's money, you're gonna help us do this. We have to achieve this goal, and here's why, and you're gonna help us, and that's all about technical wizardry as opposed to him having a story
Making
to
an
tell.
artistic statement.
I think they looked at him and were like, "Holy shit, you did 2001. We need you to do this for us, you know. And you're gonna do it, or we'll fucking kill you," kind of deal.
Yeah.
Again, that's the theory. I don't believe that.
Now, isn't the can turned a certain way?
It is. Okay, so she has now dragged him down, which I kind of find it hard to believe that she could drag him, but we'll see. But,
She's graduated from a baseball bat to a knife.
You locked me in here with all this baking soda.
at least give me a goddamn can opener and a spoon.
It'll be just like nothing ever happened.
Except for when I kill you.
You can never do this now
Why?
because coolers come with safety latches on.
They
the
do,
side.
don't they? Yeah.
Yeah. Because people keep locking themselves inside and dying.
Wendy, baby,
I love this. He's trying to play her.
And how awesome is that angle?
You hurt my head real bad.
I'm dizzy. I need a doctor.
Oh, I agree with what you were saying earlier about how this really cemented his being known as a crazy, or you said it,
Yeah, it
as
did.
a psycho.
I know we sound a lot alike, but
Yeah, we do. People get us
But
mixed
I-
up all the
somebody's
time.
old as shit.
God damn.
Says the guy with the white hair.
At least I got it.
God damn, we're just going around the table here. What's about me?
Oh, Ginger.
But without this, does he get the Joker? Does he get some of these iconic roles too? You know,
Well, I mean, I'm
think
sure that's
this
why
is
they
a
cast
good-
him as that.
He wouldn't have got the Joker without
Yeah,
this.
I think
Yeah.
Because look at that. That's a Joker shot.
looking at a career, you can see how one world leads to a next.
And let me go on record to say I hated him as the Joker.
Really?
He was
Hell
not,
outta here.
He was not the man for the job. I just did not like him
Okay,
as
but
the
think about
Joker.
this: in 1989, who would have done it better?
Willem Dafoe.
I don't think Willem Dafoe not has the gravitas
I don't think William
that
Dafoe
Jack
has
does in
the
that.
correct face.
Neither did Jack Nicholson. The Joker.
Willem Dafoe's got a good face for that kind of that smile and that
Yeah.
creepiness.
I
but
think he would have pulled it off.
I don't think he's got. I don't know. I think
Over top.
but Warner Bros. Wanted a big star for that
Right.
role.
And I understand that.
He made a
I just-
tremendous amount of money on that movie.
I just didn't like it, and there's nothing you can say to make me change my
Damn you,
mind.
Chad. We can't be friends now.
I'm fine with that.
You ever heard how much he made from
I
that?
still love you no matter how wrong you are.
He got like
Well, he got toy
got
money
like-
too,
oh,
so
yeah.
he
he got
made
like 10,
mad
20
cash.
off the top, but then he went and got a percentage. I think overall it was like $50 million.
Yeah, he made more
In
on that than the
89.
movie.
Wow.
Jesus, he was like the highest paid actor of all time for that one role, which is I thought it was
Good on him for that.
I know, right?
But I just didn't.
He's
feel
no
it was-
Cesar Romero, but
I'm not a big fan of Caesar as the Joker, and I love Batman.
You got to hear,
66.
guy. Okay, we're getting sidetracked big time.
Is this Batman?
She makes a terrible picture.
Catwoman,
no,
no.
it's like that terrible panel I did at Mysticon that was about the MCU. That the girl kept trying to steer it towards DC. She kept wanting to break and talk about DC, and I was like, "What the hell's that got to do with the MCU?"
Another panel.
Jesus Christ! Shut up.
I got a little apocryphal story for you. Look up Cesar Romero and orange slices.
I'm afraid.
I'm scared to.
Be afraid.
Is that going to be like two girls peeing a cup or
Yeah.
whatever it was?
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, it's tangerine wedges.
Ah.
Yeah. It's pretty nasty.
Look at all the food he's been eating there. How long has he been there?
It's bad. It's got Oreos, peanut
I don't
butter.
see any Indian flour down there.
You'll see it here in just a second when Grady opens the door for him. Ah.
And they're all turned in a certain way. I
Uh-huh.
can't remember the word.
I think what it was is earlier when you first saw it,
But there's Tang, and Tang was on the
moon landing. Yep. That's another.
He's just fucking with y'all.
No, this is all true. If you watched Room 237,
But and who knows? Maybe these are just things that Kubrick wanted to throw out there, just to, so
maybe he
so,
likes bacon.
so four guys could be sitting in a room
To stroke his ego.
38 years later.
I mean, Tang was extremely popular in the 70s, 80s.
It's possible it could have been just but maybe I part of me thinks this is just what he wanted. He wanted four guys sitting around a room 38 years later, sitting over a microphone, going, "What about that? What about this?" Now this
Meanwhile, Hong Kong Philly is coming to the rescue. And a snow truck, snow
Cat.
cat. Thank you.
Oh Jesus! All right, this is how
Danny playing with knives.
This is my fear. Okay, I've got a little kid at home. This is my fear. I'm going to wake up and she's going to be holding a big freaking knife over
You keep
me.
feeding her Buffy, and she will.
I know. They love the hell out of that too. I let my kids watch Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Red rum. Tony.
So this, I don't know about you guys. When I saw this as a kid for the first time, it got me because in hindsight, we know what red rum is, but I didn't know the first time I saw it. And that one shot where it zooms in, it got I shivers down my
Yeah.
goosebumps. Big
Well, I mean,
time.
this whole, all this, the finger talking, and I was like, This dude.
Jeez,
What's
I'll
this
never
leading
watch-
towards?
I've never watched the Batman TV show again the same way.
Did
Did you look it up?
Holy shit.
I don't know if I want to now.
We'll discuss it all.
Oh my
off
God.
mic.
It's
Caesar-
gaping and everything.
Caesar Romero.
Now y'all got me doing it. Let it run. I still got Rubber Band Man. Hold up on that.
Iconic.
Yeah. This really got me as a kid.
The scene
This
of
whole
a million
scene.
memes.
Yeah, I know. There's a lot. You see a lot here lately of the behind-the-scenes footage of them preparing for this shoot. It's actually is a scene from Making of The Shining by Vivian Kubrick, where you're looking a little bit behind the scenes where Jack Nicholson's like going nuts and jumping up and down, trying to get himself psyched up and
I've seen
swinging
parts
the
of that.
axe. And the shitty part is it was probably the 30th time they'd done it that day, and you know everyone's exhausted. And I think Kubrick wanted to push them past that exhaustion.
Wendy, I'm home.
I'm home. It's so good. Look at all that fake snow on a set.
You go out here. Bring me back half a gallon of milk, a stick
How
of butter,
convenient.
and a loaf of bread.
The snow just happens. Don't forget the milk and bread.
Don't forget the eggs.
If this was North Carolina, we'd all be dead.
With that much snow here in North Carolina, yeah.
So my wife tells stories
the joy
about
of
being in
this.
Syracuse and having to climb out the upstairs window to
get
shovel.
out?
Yeah, to shovel
Oh,
out the
God.
front door.
That sounds miserable. I love the joy on his face. He just looks so happy to almost be killing them. You know this is a set because they had to build a window that was too small for her.
Yeah. She's not the biggest thing anyway, is she?
This is an iconic scene. Turn up a little bit.
There's a gif of that, just of him, his eyes going back and forth, and it is creepy as fuck.
Run, Forrest.
Wait, run and hide?
Go find Hong Kong Fooey.
Little pigs, let me come in.
My kids would love this.
Little
We
pigs.
read that story all the time, yeah.
That
And you
shot-
better believe I
that
do
shot's
that
used
voice.
a lot too. Her in the corner with the knife.
Then I'll huff, and I'll puff, and I'll blow your house in.
Or cut it.
So, this scene took 3 days to shoot, and they chopped that door. They replaced that door 60 freaking times.
60
Good God.
times.
60 times.
Man, Kubrick can go suck it, man. If I'm an actor on that,
So apparently, I read this. I don't know how true it is, but Jack had a lot of experience wielding an axe when he, as a volunteer firefighter in his younger days. Which I don't know if that's true or not, but it sounds cool. Worked as a firefighter in Roger Corman movies.
Sure, there's a lot of fires there.
Here's Johnny.
That was improvised.
that's before Freddy Krueger.
Yeah.
A scratch. I mean, she's bashed him in the head with a baseball bat. He
Yeah,
gets
I
the
know.
cut on his hand.
I think we must have passed it here. I meant to show this scene where Horan is coming in, driving into town in the snow and the blizzard, and there's a red Volkswagen Beetle that's crashed up under an 18-wheeler, and they're having to direct him around it. And I must have missed
I
it here.
remember that scene, yeah.
But it from what I've read is an intentional fuck you to Stephen King, because the car that the Torrances have is a red Volkswagen Beetle. In the film it's yellow, but in the movie the red Volkswagen Beetle is crashed up under a truck, and he's like, "Screw you! This is my movie, not yours." I don't know how intentional that is, but I like to think
Oh,
it is.
Kubrick and King and their little rivalry.
Tell you what, I'm going to go make Maximum Overdrive.
I'll show you.
I'll show Kubrick.
I'll show you all.
And it was that.
I'm
truck
tired of
was
filmmakers
awesome.
ruining my movies.
Did you see my picture, Mountain Whitney's picture with the front of it?
Uh-uh.
Yeah, the guy that
Is it Martinsville, right?
it was filmed in Wilmington.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
And the guy was sitting out on his front porch drinking a beer and saw it being pulled behind a wrecker, almost mangled, going down the street. And he went, "What the hell?" So he went and got in his truck and followed it, and he was going to the scrapyard. And he talked the guy into not taking it to the scrapyard.
He's refurbished it
And refurbished,
Yeah.
bought it, pulled the front off
takes it
the
around
truck.
to different cons.
Yeah,
and
and
it's
it's
pretty
got it
cool.
mounted to this
That's cool.
thing that he just rolls it around everywhere.
That's cool.
I haven't seen him anywhere in a while,
I'm just
but
scared.
you can look it up. It's called the Goblin Project,
Okay.
where he tells the story of how he refinished it and how he found it and all that kind of stuff.
Man, Danny, you should just stay where you're at.
Danny.
So I've read that Danny Lloyd plays Danny in the film. Really had no concept that he was in a horror film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they tried their best to shield him from all the.
Kubrick specifically
very
didn't
careful
want him,
about it.
yeah, didn't want him to know. It was
I think
years
those
later
scenes
before-
that he was looking at the girls, I don't think he was really looking at them in some of those.
Yeah.
Okay, here's one of the scariest parts of the film, and we'll talk about it here in a second. We got a furry dude dressed up like a bear, blowing an old man, or what appears to be. Which by itself is just creepy as hell. No one, I mean, but if you'll recall back when I asked you to remember the shot of Danny bending over the sink, brushing his teeth, and you can't see his head, you just see him doing something. This goes back to the idea that Jack is sexually abusing him. Yeah. If you can kind of take those two.
I thought it was trying to take me back to my Uncle Jack's weekend retreat. It was a sad part of my life. I don't like to talk about, but that's just where I went with it. Don't do that.
That's what Uncle Jack used to do to you.
So, do you think real furries, people who dress up in costumes, like to have sex? Do you think they like this movie, or do you think they?
I don't put anything past anybody.
Furries.
It
Are you familiar with furries? When I say that, you know what it is? Okay.
It brought our plight to light.
You say, "Oh,
Finally,
Oh,
a film
when
that
you say,
shows-
I was
Oh,
saying
with the
the
dog
context. Huh?
That was you in the dog suit and the preacher.
when you say our plight,
I have a dog suit in my
I
basement.
bet you do.
True story.
I don't want to know.
I
About
gotta
it.
go get it dry cleaned, but I have a dog suit.
Don't want to know. Does that have to do with
And an Oscar,
tangerines?
not an Oscar, and a Cookie Monster.
He pulls up at the Cleaner World, and they go, "Oh God, here he is again."
Tangerine.
That
So-
thing's stiff as a board.
Jesus.
What is?
Your dog suit.
Okay,
We can't do anything with it anymore.
so all this, again, as we've said, is a set, and this is all fake snow, mostly styrofoam and some type of salt. Something you'll be interested to know, Sammy. The same fake snow was gathered up and then used over at a different lot for Empire Strikes Back. Isn't that
That's
cool?
great.
This movie actually pushed back because it went so damn long. It pushed back Empire and a couple other movies were supposed to be made on the same lot.
Who thought of this shot? I mean, it's got to be Kubrick. It's got
Well,
to
this
be
is-
his vision.
This is the beauty of the Steadicam.
Or the DP.
You couldn't do this before the
Oh,
Steadicam, you know. You could, you know.
God, that shot is so gorgeous.
It was.
And this is from not a movie guy. I could give two shits
Yeah.
about a pretty shot unless I see it.
Well,
And
it's
I was
supposed.
like,
It
hey,
was
it's
supposed to be
pretty shot,
super hot when they were filming this too. Movie magic, you know.
It looks really cold.
You're
but
getting
it's
colder. You're getting colder.
not. Everybody's outside. She's walking around inside.
It's almost like she knows they're out there. She just doesn't want to go. Danny, you still inside? Another change from the book. And seeing the fact that she's seeing him now.
That's almost like a Vertigo type shot there, with her walking backwards towards the. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
It's alright, I forgot what I was. I was so entranced by what you had to say, I forgot what I was.
So apparently, right after this film concluded, she was hospitalized for nervous exhaustion.
Okay. Oh, you're saying now that she sees them.
Now that she sees them, kind of lends to the fact that a lot of people I grew up with watched it saying, "Oh, they're all just going mad." I don't.
Yeah, I don't think he's going mad. I think it's like you said, the ghosts are. It's the place.
Yeah,
it's not about them. It's the place that's driven the horror.
Smart 6-year-old. It's the shine.
Mm-hmm.
See, okay, now isn't this the most weakest form of the shine? Like Carrie blows shit up. Drew Barrymore catches shit on fire.
And he talks to his finger.
Christopher Walken can just destroy people's minds.
He's not old enough.
You can see
Is that what it is? Well, Scatman Brothers wasn't no good either. Yeah, I talked to you across long distances.
Here we go. Here's the sustained shot of the blood coming out of the elevator. The doors are closed, and yet it's so much. It forces one of the doors open, and God, that's amazing.
And that
looks just like Hank vs. Dracula.
We tried so hard to have a bunch of blood.
And that doesn't look like normal movie blood. That looks like real blood.
Mm-hmm. Well, that was one of the reasons they shot so many times is Kubrick just never thought it looked real enough. I want to drink some cranberry ocean spray. I don't know about you guys.
I want a snow cone. Looks like Javier Bardem right there.
Yeah.
Javier Bardem looks like him.
No Country for Old Men.
Mm-hmm.
I think Anton Chigurh would have killed Danny though a lot easier than Jack.
You think?
I
think he would have killed everybody a lot quicker.
What's the most you've ever lost in a coin toss? Danny, I need you to call it heads or tails.
Now, it's funny that this has turned into such an industry for the Real Overlook, the Real Stanley Hotel.
Yeah.
I mean, they have people pay like thousands of dollars to stay in room 237. When it's not even the right, it should be 217.
Yeah, 217, yeah.
And how many times has this been ripped off in movies?
Oh, yeah.
Scary? Which one of the scary movies? One of the scary movies did it.
I'm proud to say I've never watched one of those.
Oh, really? The first one's alright. Which is that's the one with the butler with the messed up hand.
That's the second one.
Is that the second one?
I think they're all pretty horrible.
Oh, they're terrible, but that don't mean they're not entertaining. She's not even good with the knife. Just running around with it.
What is she gonna do with it? When she
put somebody's eye with her thing.
She's gonna like scratch his hand again.
Yeah. You run like a girl with a knife. A scratch.
Now,
It's gonna get infected.
okay. Now, is there some reason he gets lost? Is The Shining helping him get lost? Why is or is it his madness that keeps him lost?
I never
Or
thought about that.
Why not
haven't
just
either.
cut through the freaking hedges with an axe that you're carrying in your damn hand?
I didn't think about that. No, I just assumed he just got lost in their own labyrinth and Sammie's patting himself on the back.
Where's Tom Ackerman? To tell me what a good question that was. That nobody can answer.
Tom, don't encourage him.
Hey, that led into the Felissa Rose question that completely blew everybody. But yeah, it seems like Danny found his way out.
Yeah.
Why can't he?
Well,
She found her
that's
way
his-
out the day before, the couple days before, and she's not.
But
the
she wasn't
sharpest knife in the
being.
drawer.
But it wasn't in the middle of the snow and being chased by a man with an axe,
But the man with the axe is the one that's lost.
Yeah. But it's he's.
Danny's been in the
death.
maze before. He knew the way out.
So
Okay.
So what do you guys think? What is, as we're wrapping up here, what do you feel like this movie is really about?
Not the moon landing
And
or
not,
minotaurs.
and not the pioneers.
Or baking soda.
All right, so
Faking the moon landing.
what do you think it's about?
To me, it's one of the best ghost stories, haunted house movies that I've ever seen, and that's just. I know there's a lot of layers underneath that,
Yeah.
but that's the level I enjoy it on. It's
I
just
agree.
I love this ending.
I do too.
I love that shot, that picture. I love that.
It almost kind of, you get the feeling that the answer was there all along.
Yeah.
If they looked, it's hiding in plain sight. 21.
That's like the Adolf Hitler. Mein Führer.
Well, there's
Like
another.
Nikola Tesla.
There's another
Yeah.
theory here. When it transitions, he kind of does have a Hitler look to his face that you'll see here. Yeah. That's another clue for the Holocaust. I don't know. I think it's more about how the horror is more internal and it's more at home. The horror is the people who are more likely to hurt you are your loved ones as opposed to the stranger. You know what I mean? I think that's kind of more of what it's trying to say.
I think it's a story about the bad effects of alcohol.
Yeah.
I think it reflects man's inhumanity to man.
Talk about me being pretentious.
That's fake pretension.
Oh, okay.
But you got a point. He doesn't really give in until he gives into his addiction to his alcoholism, and that really carries him to the end of the film. And as far as the horror,
It was almost like he was signing a contract with him when he took that drink. Yeah, I'll do whatever you want me to do.
yeah,
Drugs are bad, okay?
Really bad.
Yours is a lot better than mine. I hate you.
Now, Kyle, you shouldn't drink that, okay?
don't do drugs.
Some drugs bad for you. Okay.
I'd love for Mr. Mackey to call in one day.
Maybe we will. Well, I think that's gonna wrap up our discussion. I've got so much crap here on my note bag. I think we've
Have
gone
you hit
over
everything?
I think so.
What is the weirdest
Yeah, of your 10
theories
theories, we only hit
that
like
you
two or
haven't?
three.
I mean, I think the most interesting one is the moon landing thing, but
Which is one closest to being true? The pioneers faked the moon landing during the Holocaust.
go watch Room 237. It's on Hulu, I believe. So
It's
if you guys
fun.
are interested in
That's
learning
fun
more.
to watch. It's fun to watch.
Yeah, it is.
So, and like I said, with the book, the movie, and Room 237 is its own thing.
Oh yeah,
So I enjoy watching it
yeah.
because it's fun watching people theorize on weird stuff like that.
Ancient
Okay, so we
aliens.
touched on
Yeah,
the, we
I was
touched
about
on the
to say
terrible
that.
remake a little bit.
Yeah.
We haven't touched on. Well, we
We
did
touched
touch on
on
Dr. Sleep.
Maximum
Dr. Sleep's
Overdrive.
going to be. Dr. Sleep's going to be adapted.
Or is it?
Yes.
You touched Chad.
You did.
Yeah.
Chad's
touched
uncle.
me in an appropriate way.
You're my new uncle now.
I always play the pitcher.
Oh, jeez. Okay. So, what do you know about Dr. Sleep?
Not a whole lot,
okay.
but it's. I do know it's being adapted.
Well, cool.
Or it's in pre-production.
Well, and then there's Castle Rock. We know Danny Torrance is supposed to be in that somewhere, or they've at least put that out there in the promotions. So
That looks really good.
I think so
Castle
too.
Rock.
Oh,
It could fool us. It could be really crappy, but right now it looks
So I
pretty
think
cool.
it's J.J.
talk-
Abrams is
you
that
talk-
behind it.
Oh, if JJ is behind it, it'll be good. That's such a dearth of material to pull from.
Yeah.
Good God, all the short stories he's written, and
Oh yeah.
you could just you talk about Easter eggs for days.
Yeah.
I mean, they did a whole. How many seasons of Haven was there? And that was a Stephen King story, and just one story. So
I never watched Haven.
I didn't either, but my mom loved it.
Yeah.
And Edge is in it. Who'll be at Carolinas?
The Edge.
Not the
Where's-
Edge.
And where's Bono?
Not the Edge. Edge,
Um,
the wrestler, Adam Copeland,
yeah.
who's now in Vikings. Throwback to my
Is he
a
really?
while ago. Yeah. He's following Floki around, just like, oh, you're a god, Floki. I love you.
You're talking to me like I watch Vikings, and I don't.
At one time,
Now we're under the smart ass stage of Vikings.
at one time, my two favorite characters on TV were Walter Bishop on Fringe and
Friends?
Floki.
Fringe.
Fringe.
Friends.
Fringe.
Friend zone? You just friend zoned me?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Man, is it getting late?
It is really late.
Any other? We talked very briefly about Stanley Kubrick. Any other Stanley Kubrick movies you would recommend to audiences? I think Dr. Strangelove is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
That's a movie I need
It's
to watch.
so freaking
and
funny.
I'd like to revisit A Clockwork Orange.
Peter Sellers
Sellers
plays
is
3 different
hilarious.
characters, and one's just as funny than the other one. I watched Eyes Wide Shut last night after preparing for this. I was like, I like it. I rewatched it. It was pretty cool.
I can't get into that one.
Other than the boobs, no, don't care.
Well, there's plenty of them.
There's a lot of them.
They're mostly Tom Cruise.
And we've talked about
There's quite a bit of the
Full Metal Jacket on the show with Tom Gore.
Love Full Metal Jacket,
Yeah.
especially the first half.
R.I.P. Arlie Ermey.
Yeah, I know, right? Just
Yeah.
last week. No. All right, well, I think that's going to wrap up our discussion on The Shining.
I give it 2 thumbs up.
Same here.
I like the
And a
bullshit.
snap and a twist.
Jeff, where can our audiences find more of you? Your wisdom.
Facebook, darkerworld.com.
Very cool.
It's like I'm waiting for you to say something else.
Well, I mean, it's like everything. Yeah, it's all consolidated in one place.
It's all one.
Chad, what about
All
you?
in one hole.
Oh, God. I got to follow that. Sometimes. Sometimes it'll all in one. Other
Oh,
times, you
Jesus.
got to find. Anyway, I'm on Facebook, Chad Hunt. Instagram, Chatty_baby.
Chatty baby.
Yeah, go to gruesomemagazine.com. I'm on there. Check me out on some of my other podcasts.
Yeah.
My podcast, horror podcast for
I had
Gruesome
to
Magazine.
have. We had to have him on tonight just so he could continue to say frequent guest host on the Recap Film Buffs podcast
Oh, that's true.
because he hadn't been frequent in a while.
No, I haven't.
Why is the bug following you?
Sammy, what about you?
You can find me lost in a maze in the snow. Or maybe not snow, but I'll be lost in a maze. I've spent pretty much my entire life lost in the maze of my head. So, you can find me on social media at Sammie Castle or Sammie the Comic Book Man on Facebook.
Very cool.
Ow.
We're on this. I'm popping bones over here. I'm popping joints.
And various public restrooms.
Up on the wall.
We're on Instagram at Recap Productions. I'm on Twitter at Hank vs. the Undead. We've got several Facebook pages you can check out. Just got Recap Productions and the website recapproductions.com. So, we'll be back in a few weeks with another episode and a new movie and more to talk about.
with somebody, somewhere, somehow.
But I probably won't be here.
Probably not.
You can't have you on too much, you'll turn into Tom Gore.
Who's that?
How does it get late?
Yeah, it is getting late. All work and no play
4
make
hours.
Jack a dull boy.